What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one, fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Let's get right into the story. Online dating, like most things, has its pros and its cons. On the positive side, it helps people that might work all the time and don't have time to go out and meet people, find their person in life. Or a shy individual that might not be that good at approaching people in public. It gives you time to chat, talk, and really try to get to know a person before meeting up with them. But thinking you know exactly who is on the other side of that screen is actually one of the negatives about online dating. Unless you are FaceTiming an individual, you can't really go off pictures and conversation. We have all witnessed people get catfished, talking to a fake profile, telling a stranger on the internet their deepest secrets, where they live, all to be let down in a journey for a relationship. But in the age of technology, where people barely even talk to each other in public, online dating, DMs, profiles is just a new wave. Every now and again, you might hear a success story on how a couple met online, started dating, and got married. But a lot of times, we hear the opposite. One thing for sure, it's easy to hide true intentions behind a screen, good looks, or a pretty smile in pictures. That leads to the most observant person to even let their guards down. But going to meet up with an individual you only know through an app is a gamble. And depending on the situation, things could definitely go wrong. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we'll be taking it to Chesapeake, Virginia to discuss the case of an online date that turned fatal after a fake profile set up. All the way back in 2015, a 21-year-old man named Cedric Tao was navigating the streets of Virginia. Cedric came from a decent family, had his mother and father around, and only a few years out of high school, he was trying to figure out life. The young man was a go-getter though, working 2 jobs to support himself with big dreams of one day owning his own sneaker store, as he was big into fashion. Very known in his neighborhood he grew up in, the young man was stated to be the type to look out for his peoples. If a neighbor needed a few dollars for groceries, Cedric would give it to them, no problem. Of course, being a young man in his prime, dating was also on his agenda. He would often chat with young women he went to school with or in the surrounding area he lived in Virginia on Facebook. Around about Thanksgiving 2015, Cedric found himself chopping it up with a young lady with a profile name of Kia Gotti. He didn't know the woman at all, but from pictures and talking and messages, Cedric was feeling the vibe. On November 28th, the young lady decided they should meet up in person and told Cedric he should pull up in the area he was very familiar with, his old neighborhood on Colonial Way in Chesapeake. Cedric excited, he agreed. That day he spent time with his father. The two hit a local 7-Eleven before Cedric told him he could drop him off because he was going to meet a girl. His pops told him to be safe and dropped Cedric off by the old neighborhood. The young man texts one of his homeboys, like, yo, I'm pulling up on Shorty now, the one from Facebook. But a short time after that, his father would get a call with somebody telling him something happened and he should go check on Cedric. After calling his phone multiple times, family and friends drove to the neighborhood, which had become a crime scene, with police claiming a young man had been shot multiple times and passed away on the scene. And unfortunately, he was later identified as Cedric. His family were in shock. He was familiar with the area, and the young man was only going to meet a girl. As the family talked to police, they claimed they found the young man laying in the alleyway. His father realized his watch was gone, phone, wallet, earrings, and other items, which police noted also and decided it was a robbery. As days went by, Cedric's father spoke out about how he felt. Somebody used a fake profile to lure his son to a location for a robbery. Local police thought the same thing, but days after the murder, Kia Gotti's page was deactivated, and it seemed Cedric's phone was long gone. The family pleaded for answers and justice, as a vigil was held for the young man, but no suspects, only a motive. Months and months would go by, and the case would go cold, until 7 months after the incident. By this time, police realized the account for Kia was created only 3 days prior to Cedric's slaying. They got a search warrant for Kia's Facebook records through the app, and the email address came back to Desiree868@gmail, which detectives realized was a 19-year-old woman named Desiree, who Cedric went to school with, and they all hung in the same circle. Convinced she was the one who created the profile and was the one Cedric was talking to, police went to pick the young lady up, but she was only charged with robbery and conspiracy to commit robbery. She remained silent, and Cedric's family thought they had some kind of justice, as him and Desiree knew the same people and also grew up in the same area. But some people felt the young lady was too quiet, stayed to herself, and wouldn't set nobody up. But Cedric's family was convinced she played a role. Months would go by with her being in custody, but lack of evidence that she participated was a problem. The only evidence they had was the profile Kia Gotti was linked to her email address. Due to that, all charges were eventually dropped on Desiree, leaving the police and Cedric's family back at square one. His father believed somebody in their old neighborhood was responsible, and more people knew what happened, but they wouldn't come forward. They fought for years to keep Cedric's name alive and hoped someone would come forward with information. They even offered a cash reward. But as for now, Cedric's case remains a cold case. The only thing they know for sure is that he was set up through a fake profile through Facebook. Rest in peace to Cedric. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. I'm pretty sure for Shorty to be that comfortable going to meet a girl from online, he probably did that 100 times before with no problem. But unfortunately, it's also some scavengers out here, and all it takes is for one fake profile to end up in a situation like this. I don't know if Cedric had enemies or people just wanted what the young man had, but for whatever reason, they felt it was worth his life. A Michael Kors watch, earrings, phone, and wallet is what they got from the situation. For everybody that has or will online date, by now, y'all definitely should know to be careful out there. Ask for that FaceTime or to meet in a public area during the day. But don't trust who you think is behind that screen until you know for sure. Y'all let me know what y'all think about Cedric's situation. But I want to end this one with a question to the fam. Have you ever been catfished or set up by a fake profile? And if so, how did you find out? Or if you actually went to meet the person, let me know how did it play out. And remember, we got to succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Yeah, man, crazy story. Rest in peace, that young man. I definitely send my prayers to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the situation in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of Hood Tales. This your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam.
It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another episode of Hood Tales. In this video, let's take it to Indianapolis, Indiana, to discuss the tragic 2022 slaying of Andre Smith after his on-again, off-again girlfriend, Galen Morris, snapped after she caught him cheating. But before we get into this video, I'd like to say a big thank you to our supporters. We appreciate you and we hope you stick around. If you'd like to support the channel monetarily, you can find the information on the screen. And to support us for absolutely no cost, please hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and join the Tony 2 times family. Tap that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Also, this video is sponsored by yours truly, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and my YouTube channel. Make sure you check it out and support me. I'll leave the link to it in the description box below. And be sure to share this video with everyone you know. Stay tuned until the end to hear all the details. All right, let's get into it. Toxic relationships filled with lies, deceit, and cruel intentions that go on too long never ends well. It's so important to know your self-worth in any relationship. Someone who is willing to use you for their benefit will take advantage of the love you have for them, as long as you're willing to let them use you. We have to be very careful not to give too much to anyone who gives you sweet nothings in return. Delusion can lead you down a dark and obsessive path. Once a person shows you who they are through their actions and the way they treat you, believe them. The relationship between Galen Morris and Andre Smith began when they were teenagers. According to Galen, Andre was the love of her life and the only man she ever loved since she was 15. Galen would do anything and everything to keep Andre in her life. Andre, on the other hand, had a different outlook on his relationship with Galen. Andre consistently dated other women while in an off-again, on-again relationship with Galen. Andre had a relationship with another woman that resulted in a beautiful baby girl. Galen still wanted Andre by her side despite the other women in his life. According to Galen, Andre would sometimes put her down by criticizing her weight, which affected her self-esteem. She felt like Andre led her on based on what she could do and did for him. Andre and Galen lived together. She did all the things a dutiful girlfriend or wife would do. She would cook for him, clean, give him money, and whatever he needed to keep him coming back to her. On the other hand, Andre never hid his lifestyle or his true feelings for Galen. She was very aware that Andre was never committed to her or their relationship. Galen was willing to stick around, hoping one day all the effort she put into trying to keep Andre around would pay off. However, after 10 years, Galen began to realize that Andre still wasn't going to commit to her. On Thursday, June 2nd, 2022, the dynamics between Andre and Galen were coming to a head. That week, Galen was consistently going back and forth with Andre about him seeing other women. Galen found out about one woman Andre was dating named Kenya. In an effort to keep track of Andre's whereabouts, Galen used an AirTag she placed in his car. Andre found out about the tracking device on June 1st and told Galen that it was a crazy thing to do and to leave him alone. Galen ended up getting in touch with Kenya on Facebook. She went off on Kenya, expressing that she is pressed over Andre because of what she provided for him. She let Kenya know that Andre was living with her and she was taking care of him. And if she wanted him, then she needed to come and get his things. Galen also contacted Andre and told him to come and get his belongings, and she was putting him out. Her family advised her to break up with Andre for good. Galen would end up speaking with Andre's child's mother, who also advised her that she should leave Andre alone and move on with her life. Kenya even told her the same thing along those lines. But Galen wasn't ready to give up without a fight. Galen threatened Kenya with a fight and wanted to meet up. Galen also tried to lure Andre back to her with offers of money and intimacy. When Andre asked her if she was going to cook on the day of June 2nd, Galen thought that it meant he was coming back home. She told him yes and prepared a meal for him. However, as the night went on and Andre didn't show up, Galen was hurt and became enraged. She called him repeatedly and texted him. He ignored her most of the time until she mentioned a gun and the probability of using it. A few more phone calls and texts in between them were exchanged, with Andre mentioning that he would call the police if she did something, but that wasn't revealed in the text messages. Galen began tracking Andre's whereabouts via the AirTag she placed in his car. She assumed that he was with Kenya and was ready to meet up and fight. She told Andre that she knew he was at a hotel and was with another woman. Andre told her to leave him alone once again, but again, Galen was not ready to let go. After tracking his location, she took it upon herself to pull up and confront Andre and the woman she thought was Kenya. Just after midnight, after stewing in anger and emotions all day, Galen found the bar she believed Andre was at with another woman. She asked multiple people outside Tilly's pub if they saw a guy in there with dreads with a woman. She told them that was her boyfriend and she had tracked him to the pub with an air tag and she believed that he was cheating on her. Andre knew Galen had found his location and told the woman he was on a date with that Galen was at the front door. Just after 12:20 a.m. on Friday, June 3rd, 2022, Galen, wearing a pink bonnet, entered Tilly's in search of Andre and who she thought would have been Kenya. When she located Andre and the woman to confront them, to her surprise, it wasn't Kenya, but another woman named Tashiana. Galen ended up getting into a physical altercation with Tashiana. Galen grabbed an empty beer bottle as Andre got in between the two women and tried to break it up. Tashiana got the best of Galen and landed a few punches. During the altercation, the pub's owner asked all three of them to leave. Andre pulls Galen outside of the pub. The owner allows Andre and Tashiana to pay their tab and get their food before leaving. Outside of the pub, Galen got into her 2010 blue Chevy Impala that was parked in front of another establishment and waited for Andre to exit Tilly's. At this point, it's safe to say that Galen is filled with emotions, probably embarrassed, angry, hurt, and fed up with Andre choosing other women over her. As she sees Andre exit the pub, she presses the gas, revving her engine, and heads toward Andre. A staff member of Tilly's saw what Galen was about to do and got in front of the vehicle to stop her from hitting Andre. Galen ignored the staff member's intervention, backed up her car, drove around the staff member, hitting him with her mirror, and headed straight for Andre once again. This time, she was successful in hitting him with her car. Tashiana exits the pub and sees what's happening. Galen backs up her vehicle and goes forward once again, all while Andre lies helplessly underneath. Galen had struck Andre a total of 3 times, and he was pinned under Galen's Impala. He cried out for help, but no one could physically get to him. Tashiana begins to record Galen sitting in her Impala on the driver's side. Indianapolis police arrived at the scene at 12:32 a.m. on June 3rd. When officers arrived at the scene, it was chaotic, and they found 26-year-old Andre Smith pinned under the Chevy Impala, fighting for his life. Other emergency personnel arrived at the scene to render aid. 26-year-old Galen Morris was still at the scene when officers arrived. She appeared to be in a state of shock, unaware of the catastrophic damage she had caused. As police questioned witnesses at the scene, they learned of what happened and Galen was taken into custody. Tragically, Andre Smith was pronounced gone at the scene 30 minutes later. His family was, of course, devastated by the sheer brutality of his passing. He left behind his loved ones and his 4-year-old daughter at the time. When Galen was questioned by investigators, she never denied hitting Andre with her car. She told them that she meant to hit Tashiana and that she and Andre lived together. He was her boyfriend and he was cheating on her that night. She went to confront him and the woman she was with. She denied placing an AirTag in Andre's car and said she found him by driving around and stopping by a hotel he frequented by himself or with other women. She continued to canvass the area and found his car in the parking lot of Tilly's and was asking around for him. Detectives would confront her with a search warrant, and she later admitted to placing the AirTag in the backseat cup holder of Andre's car. Galen was subsequently charged with slaying Andre Smith, and she was held at Marion County Jail. Andre's family spoke of how his loss had impacted them. They said that Andre was in an on-again, off-again relationship with Galen, and at the time of the incident, they were not in a relationship. Galen had just become obsessed with his personal life. They believed that Galen was intentional in her actions and took Andre away from them and his daughter with malicious intent. Kenya Brown, the woman Galen found out Andre was dating, spoke to reporters and said that her and Andre were dating exclusively for months and that he was her boyfriend. She said her and Andre had plans together to start a business and she was going to follow through with their plans in honor of him.
He was big on respecting women, and he would never argue with me. He was like a gentleman. He never let me touch the door. I would just let him know that I'm going to make him proud. There's a lot of things that we talked about business-wise that we were going to do. So I just want him not to worry about anything. I'm still going to put all the plans into effect. I'm going to do whatever we said we were going to do. I'm not going to let nobody or nothing stop what we had planned.
Andre was an up-and-coming entrepreneur and businessman and appeared to be doing well for himself. Galen went to trial in August 2023. The trial lasted 3 days. 10 witnesses, video surveillance, cell phone video, text messages, voice recordings, and phone records were among the evidence presented. The prosecution wanted a murder conviction, while the defense argued voluntary manslaughter. A timeline of Galen and Andre's relationship was laid out as well as its tumultuous and toxic nature. And Galen's willingness to put up with Andre for all those years, although the relationship was one-sided and unhealthy. In the end, Galen Morris was convicted of the lesser charge and was later sentenced to 18 years in prison for slaying Andre Smith.
I just want to apologize to Andre's family for the hurt and pain that I caused, and to his daughter. And I understand that this is a tragic situation for everyone that sits in this courtroom, and I'm so sorry that I caused it.
Andre's family was dissatisfied with the outcome and hoped that she would have been convicted of the higher charge and given a stiffer penalty. May Andre Smith rest in peace. My belated condolences to Andre's family and loved ones. My well wishes go out to them. He didn't deserve to lose his life over allegations of cheating. Cheating does not constitute a life being taken. Galen should have had enough self-worth to walk away from Andre even before that tragic night. She should have heeded to the advice of others around her and break up with Andre for good. The relationship she sought after with Andre sent her down that path of delusion where she risked it all. Andre most likely led her on to believe that maybe one day he would be willing to settle down with her. In her mind, Andre was her man no matter what. She didn't care how many women he ended up with. She was willing to go at it with all of them. He was living with her. She took care of him, and somehow they found their way back to each other, even if Andre had no intentions of committing to Galen. Andre is now gone, and Galen will spend 18 years behind bars and a lifetime of coming to terms with what she has done. Fam, Tell me your thoughts on this story in the comments below. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of Hood Tales. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 Times. Until next time.
What's going on, YouTube, fam? This your boy Tony 2 Times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one, fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Let's get right into the story. Some people are naturally kind-hearted and giving by nature. They get a kind of joy from helping others, whether it's financially, looking out for a friend or loved one that's struggling, or helping a stranger looking for a job with their resume and pointing them in the right direction. It's refreshing to know it's still good people in this crazy world. Because as we all know, on the flip side of that, you have people that are jealous and evil-hearted. They don't want no one having what they have or more than them. And they will smile in your face, acting like they are happy for you, but really secretly plotting and wishing on your downfall. But the times we do meet individuals that have our best interests, doesn't mind looking out, showing love, putting you up on game, most individuals like that are cherished, because everyone knows those are rare traits to have nowadays. When you are a genuine person that doesn't mind looking out for people though, you have to be extra careful that people don't prey on you and take that kind heart for weakness. And when you do so much, it becomes expected, even when you don't have to. I know when someone is used to you saying yes could reveal their true colors, and depending on the situation, things can go left real fast. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we'll be taking it right outside of Charleston to Harleyville, South Carolina, to discuss a case of a man living 20 years rent-free that snapped when his friend gave him an eviction notice. Back in 2022, Mr. Charles Young, who friends and family called CJ, was 82 years young. The Harleyville native had accomplished a lot in life. Rewind back in his earlier years. After high school, Charles left the South for a few years to go up north and pick up a trade before returning back home. The youngest and baby boy out of 6 kids, he was always ambitious and looking for new adventures. By the early 80s, Charles knew he wanted to do 2 things in life: make people happy and be an entrepreneur. So when he decided in 83 he was going to take his trade to the Big Apple, New York City, everyone was excited for him. He had a friend who he considered more like a son, a man 20 plus years younger than him named Nathan Ziegler. Charles would often travel places on adventures and leave Nathan to look after his home in South Carolina. So when Charles told Nathan he was leaving, he broke down to his friend he was going to go start a business and he could stay at the house rent-free while he was gone. Just keep up with the minor stuff like maintenance on the yard. With that conversation, Mr. Charles left Nathan the house and headed north. He had first landed in Brooklyn, where he started CY up Whole Street, before relocating the business to Manhattan. There, it took off, attracting all kinds of customers from the city. With his hard work and southern charm, Mr. Charles had become a pillar in the community. He had great reviews, with people being happy about his service. After serving the people of New York for almost 20 years, by 2021, Mr. Charles decided at 80 plus, it was time to retire and go back home to South Carolina. He left and returned to his home in Harleyville, where Nathan had been living at for the last 20 years. The old friends reconnected, but the happy homecoming would be short-lived. Mr. Charles, being a neat business owner who paid attention to details, wanted the house to look a certain kind of way. But Nathan felt it was also his home too, since he held it down for all those years. Eventually, Mr. Charles' brother would move in, and the tension between the once friends grew. Police responded to the home multiple times after arguments that spilled out into the yard. Most of the time, they were able to calm the men down and leave. Since it was a small town with everybody knowing each other, local authorities will often remind the men they were once friends. On January 7th, 2022, it was a Friday, when Nathan and Charles both woke up and were in the house together. That morning would get off to a rough start, with Charles not liking the way the house looked, being cluttered. He started moving things around, and by this time, he had already given his old friend Nathan an eviction notice, reminding him whose home it was. Nathan definitely wasn't feeling that. The two men would argue back and forth that day, but no one paid it no mind. By that time, it was normal behavior. But this day, Nathan was a little more aggressive than usual. Mr. Charles decided it would be best to call the police and ask them to come escort Nathan off the property. While on the phone, Mr. Charles told Nathan to move something out of his way, and Nathan responded, telling the man to watch out. Before doing the 911 call, dispatch heard a man yelling, "I'm not playing with you," after a loud bang. They sent local police to the home around 11:30 a.m. When they arrived, they saw Nathan sitting in a chair in the backyard and Mr. Charles' brother, who was upset, in the house. As they looked around, they found Charles suffering from a single gunshot wound to the neck, and at 83 years old, unfortunately, he was pronounced gone on the scene. His brother stated he was in the room when he heard a boom and heard Nathan yell out, "I'm not playing with you." When police spoke to Nathan, he claimed he shot his old friend in self-defense, claiming Mr. Charles was coming at him. Police searched the area, finding the gun and a grill. After reviewing all the prior calls to the home and knowing the situation of Nathan being mad, Mr. Charles wanted him gone after 20 years. They felt the situation was a clear and calculated murder, and Nathan was taken into custody to face first-degree charges. He was held without bail until the case started making its way to trial. During court, Nathan and his attorneys were still pushing for the self-defense argument, but prosecutors claimed Nathan felt entitled to the home, and once Mr. Charles told him he had to go, he made his mind up he would take his life. It didn't take long for the jury to convict Nathan on all charges, and at 64 years old, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Rest in peace to Mr. Charles. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. 20 years rent-free, I couldn't imagine. I definitely would have been over grateful. And the crazy thing is, Mr. Charles wasn't even saying he had to leave. He just wanted Nathan to understand that was his house. On the flip side, I could see after living somewhere for 20 years alone and keeping up the property, Nathan probably felt it was just as much as his house as Mr. Charles and felt he shouldn't have to leave. But at the end, Charles was still the legal owner. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this situation. After living somewhere 20 years rent-free, but you took it as a blessing and left if you were told to, or did like Nathan and decided to buck the system, feeling like you had rights to the home as well. Let me know in the comments. And remember, we gotta succeed not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Yeah, man, this was a wild story. Rest in peace, Mr. Charles. To make it 83 years in life, he was in New York for years, running his own business, and nothing ever happened. Just to come home and lose your life in your own home by a friend you looked out for. Messed up situation. But yeah, y'all leave it in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about it. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of Hood Tales. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one, fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you're feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Let's get right into the story. The Bro Code. It's something that all us men knows about. It starts when you are young, with you and your homies. Y'all look out for each other, keep each other's secrets, lie to keep your homeboy from getting in trouble, whatever to keep that brotherly bond. The code extends from your friendship with your guys all the way up to your relationship with young women. Meaning, as y'all get older, if you are dealing with a particular female, your homeboy already knows off top to stay far away from her. He might look at her like his sister because you two are considered brothers. And no matter how bad she is, he will never cross that line. On the flip side of that, if you as a man gets finessed into thinking a certain female is the one, as we all have been through, and your homie has the Carfax on the mileage she has, and it comes back you got a lemon, another part of the code is letting your homie know, like, yo, I know you feeling shorty, but she not the one, my boy. Despite what we think, women have a similar code they live by with their homegirls. It's normal to want your friends to stay safe, not get hurt, and keep their life stress and drama free. But sometimes they want homies fall out, and usually it's over two things, money or a female, meaning somebody probably broke the bro code. And depending on how the next man takes that, the outcome could be fatal. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we'll be taking it to Orlando, Florida, to discuss a case of a man who snapped after his homie bragged to him about smashing his girlfriend. Back in 2019, 28-year-old Jarnell Browdy was navigating the streets of Florida. Jarnell was a father of 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, and had dreams of making it big in the music industry, becoming a rapper. Raised by his grandmother, his life wasn't always easy, but he made the best of it and hustled hard to support his kids. Jarnell had a homeboy he often rotated with, a 20-year-old man named Kenneth Williams. Despite the age gap, the two knew each other for years, and Jarnell watched Kenneth grow up and considered him little bro. Kenneth was in a relationship with a young lady who we'll call Jazz for the sake of this story, who Kenneth was feeling heavy. When he wasn't hanging with her, him and Jarnell would link up and chop it up. Jarnell also knew Jazz as well. The friends would often go to a house in the trenches of that area, a home where they would pay the person who owned it a few dollars to hang out in the back, hit a few cells, smoke, drink, whatever the mood was for that day. The house was a hot spot though, with police getting multiple calls and neighbors feeling like it was a danger to the community. But Jarnell and Kenneth were used to being in the trenches together. On January 7th, 2019, it was no different. That morning, the two friends headed to the spot, paid the ticket to post up, and went out back. There was a few more people around this day as well. As everyone was politicking and chopping it up, Jarnell and Kenneth would bring up Jazz, Kenneth's girlfriend. At first, the two men talked in a joking way, until Jarnell let Kenneth know, like, yeah, bro, I smashed her. Thinking his homie was playing, Kenneth brushed the situation off. Like, yeah, alright, bro, okay. But Jarnell insisted, like, nah, for real, and even started antagonizing Kenneth about the situation. With all eyes on him and feeling tried, Kenneth got mad. People in the backyard tried to calm him down, but it was too late. After a few more words, him and Jarnell would start fighting. As people attempted to break the two up and explain to them like they was geeking and they were brothers, multiple shots went off and a car fled the scene. With the house being the trap spot, neighbors really paid it no mind. But the owner, knowing somebody had been shot, called local police. They responded to the location a little after 10 a.m. to find Jarnell laying by his car, music still playing, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds, and unfortunately, he wouldn't survive his injuries. As his family was notified, they pulled up to the scene. They were hurt to find out he was the victim, but his uncle stated he wasn't surprised because that house was dangerous, thinking it was at first a robbery or drive-by. Neighbors spoke to the news, and most claimed to not see nothing or pay the shots no mind. One young lady said she thought it was a drive-by because she heard about 7 shots and the car speed off. But she admitted she was going to call police, but she didn't because they usually didn't respond when she did call them to the location. At first, there was no information on what happened to Jarnell until detectives put pressure on the homeowner. He admitted he let people use the house for a small fee, usually the backyard. He stated that day, Jarnell and Kenneth came by like they often did. He was in the house when he heard an argument. When he looked out the window, he stated he saw people pulling the two men apart before Kenneth upped the gun, shooting Jarnell multiple times and driving off. He claimed when he went out back to ask what happened, everyone stated Kenneth shot Jarnell for antagonizing him for sleeping with his girlfriend. Kenneth was long gone though. As more witnesses came forward due to the $5,000 reward that was offered by the police, one person stated that wasn't the first time Kenneth pulled the gun and tried to take a life in that same location, but the first time they were able to stop the young man. As days went by, a warrant was put out for Kenneth, and 10 days later, he was picked up and taken into custody, charged with second-degree murder and handgun violations. As neighbors found out an arrest had been made, some felt relieved, but others stated they were 100% sure if police didn't do anything about the house, it would happen again. Kenneth was eventually found guilty and sentenced to 20 years in prison. His current release date is February 8th, 2039. Rest in peace to Jarnell. I send my prayers and condolences to his family and 3 kids. I know most will feel like, well, he broke the bro code by smashing his homie's girl and laughing in his face about it. And I agree, that's a cold betrayal. But like the old heads used to say, you can't check the man, check your girl. Kenneth lost control. He probably felt like his girl and homie felt like he was somebody they could play with. So for the principle of the situation, he wanted to get his pride back by any means necessary. But sometimes you just gotta cut people off and start fresh before you throw your own life away. At a fresh 20 years old, you got the pick of the litter when it comes to females. If your circle of friends are that back door, you keep it moving, find another young lady, but instead, Kenneth crashed out. Fellas and ladies, have you ever been put in a position like this where someone you considered a friend crossed that line with your significant other? And if so, how did you handle the situation? Let me know in the comments. And remember, we got to succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Yeah, man, this a wild one right here. I already know a lot of people gonna have a lot to say about the bro code and how Jarnell carried it, but it still ain't worth a life. Cause now, Kenneth sitting with 20 years, that young lady long gone, and every day he gotta look himself in the mirror and do that time. But yeah, y'all let me know in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of Hood Tales. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out.